Julie, will the public and elected officials have an opportunity this time around for public comment and input prior to the final selection of your subcontractor?
I'm sorry, you'll have to ask the LMDC.
So that is up to the LMDC. Well, this is important.
It's not up to us. Whatever our, we have a client here that we're building. Whatever process that client tells us that it wants to go through in the selection of a replacement contractor, we will go through and follow that.
You can rest assured we will ask the LMDC that question. Probably one of the closest similar situations to the demolition of the Deutsche Bank is a demolition project which took place in 1999 into 2000, in that time frame in Philadelphia. The Millennium Hotel building, which was almost not quite as large as the Deutsche Bank, had to be deconstructed, had to be decontaminated. It was across the street from Philadelphia City Hall, went down virtually without incident. Have you spoken with, or will you speak with, any of the subcontractors that were involved in that project to learn from their experience?
If they have experience in New York, we will talk to them. I think it's.
Do you think any experience in Philadelphia might be relevant, given the similarities of the deconstruction, at least to reach out and speak with them?
In the New York construction market, for someone to take over this job.
I didn't ask about taking over, I asked.
You need to have union agreements in place.
Okay, we're now going to open it up to the public for questions, but there's one last question that I must ask. Back in March of 2007, you came to a community board meeting, and one of your representatives, Mr. Abruzzo, said that there would be 4 on-site inspectors full-time on the job. My question is, where were those people, and moving forward, how many are you going to have?
At all times since Sally went to that meeting, we had a minimum of 6 quality supervisory personnel on site, okay, and at least 4 of them were safety managers, because we had a safety manager in working in the abatement areas, working in the demolition areas, and we also had work going on in different places in the basement or on the scaffold.
In addition to that, there were 2 full-time safety people working for a third-party consultant directly for the LMDC. In addition to that, there were members of the building department of the city of New York on the site every day to enforce safety regulations.
Okay, we're going to maintain order. Everyone will get a chance to speak, so please fill out a comment card. Our first speaker is Mark Amoruso, and I'm going to ask the second speaker, Sally Reaganhard, to also get ready. Thank you. Mark.
Good evening. My name is Mark Amoruso. I'm a Community Board 1 member, and I'm also Team Chief of Rebecca Sturt. On 9/11, I was also a resident, like many other people. I was also a first responder. And back then, with the lies dealing with the air quality, once again, a couple of weeks ago, Lower Manhattan was under a cloud of uncertainty, and that was due to the lack of oversight by Bovis and the fool who was smoking on whatever floor he was smoking on. My question is, you say you're qualifying personnel and you're going to train them. Who is exactly qualifying and training these people? And what are the qualifications? Are they going to be just qualified? Are they going to be overqualified? Do they have to have certificates to work this kind of project? What exactly do you mean qualifying, and who's going to vet them?
Okay, you have probably 3 to 4 different unions that will be working on this project. You have asbestos handlers. Those asbestos handlers are licensed through their union apprentice program gives them their license, which is they have to put them through a class. Before any abatement worker comes onto the project, he has to have a 4-hour abatement class, fit test for respirators, making sure that he knows how this building is being abated. Did the same process for the iron workers that are working with the crane that are doing the dismantling of the steel. They also have an orientation from us, and they're all licensed welders, licensed burners, or licensed fire watch people in each one of these crews. We also have electricians working in this building to maintain temporary light. All those electricians are also licensed to be hazardous material handlers, okay? So that every person that's on this job has the right license. the right certification of all the workers.
But are you going to be looking at someone who just came out of hazmat school a week ago, or are you going to have someone who, working in the business for a number of years?
Mark, we're going to do just one question. Thank you. Okay, do you want to answer that?
All of the foremen that are running these areas have anywhere from 15 to 20 years experience. When you get 100 to 200 men and you're working with the union hall, it's not necessarily can you vet every one of those guys to say that they've had X number of years experience, because they're coming from the hall, they're qualified, they have their licenses, and we put them through an orientation program also.
And then the union favors them.
All right, Sally Reaganhart, followed by James Richards.
Good evening. I'm one of the parents of the 343 firefighters who were lost at the World Trade Center on 9/11. I'm here tonight with some other parents, including the family members of Joseph Raffanino, who died in your building on August 18th. I'd like to say that the buck stops with the LMDC, who is responsible for your company, Bovis. You are responsible for the John Wolf Company. And I'd like to say that I came here because I wanted you to explain what happened in that building, the violation of public safety, the violation of the safety and security of the New York City Fire Department. I'm very disappointed that I haven't heard any of that. Yes, you do have a stellar reputation in this city, but your reputation has been sullied, gentlemen. And that happened with the blood of the people who were killed by your building. I'd like to say, I'm hoping that you're going to have to explain to someone under oath, how is it that you could have hired a company like the John Wolf Company with mob ties, histories of being of criminal activities, no qualifications for asbestos. If I have to have asbestos abatement in my home, it's under federal guidelines. The buck stops here. I hope and I pray that we can have faith in the system again. I want to see the LMDC, your company, and the John Wolf Company answer the questions that need to be answered. Thank you.
Nothing can replace these brave men. We're deeply saddened, as all of you are. This was a terrible tragedy, and we're grieving along with all of you.
My name is Alexander Santora. I'm retired Deputy Chief and former Chief of Safety for the FDNY. There's been a lot of finger pointing, and I want to narrow my comments to a particular area that I'm concerned about. You mentioned that on site you had anywhere from 4 to 6 safety supervisors. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct. It was very clear, the pictures that appeared in the newspapers about the broken standpipe. You can point fingers at the fire department and say, well, they didn't inspect. And it's always the guy on the bottom of the totem pole that gets whacked, which they did to the 3 members. Those orders came from above. They come from the very top. But the bottom line is that the on-site supervisors are required to be looking at these safety features. Now, if there was at least a standpipe, whether it be dry or wet, the difference in time to get water up to that floor would have been seconds. Those members perhaps may have not been trapped and may have not been killed because of the lack of water, not being able to put out the fire, running out of air, etc. My question to you is, how do you make sure in the future that any number of safety inspectors will be doing their job and be doing their job adequately to ensure that the basic premise of having a standpipe that is connected be intact?
As we said before, we're prepared to do everything within our power to protect the public and the workers on the site. But we cannot answer questions that are directly related to matters that are subject to the ongoing investigation, and the standpipe is at the heart of this investigation.